What's up, David? What's up, Marquise? Marquise, say how many deals are you doing each month? About 2 to 4, typically. Sometimes 1 to 3, depending on how I'm grinding. Can y'all hear me? Let me know y'all can hear me, man. This is my first time going live, so. What's up, Mr. Farmer? Can y'all hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or just say we can hear you if you can hear me. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me. Doing this live stream, you know, y'all feel free to ask me anything y'all want to about wholesale real estate. And I'm going to answer the question if I can give you the answer. David says, what are you doing to get those deals? As far as my marketing, David, lately I've been doing a lot of Bandit signs. In fact, I just got some Bandit signs in about, maybe yesterday. I think my signs came in yesterday. I ordered 250 signs. So lately I've been doing Bandit signs, and direct mail. Probate leads, that's what I really like. Kid from Ohio. Sorry, kid from Ohio, the question one read as I was trying to read it. So hopefully it'll pop back up pretty soon. Feel free to ask it again though. Y'all gotta bear with me. This is my first time going live. Y'all know I don't know about all the technical stuff as far as YouTube and the internet goes. So y'all bear with your boy till I kind of get the hang of this stuff. Kid from Ohio. I talked to you a few times. When I can, I do the video about going through the steps about out-of-state owners. Mr. Farmer, best way to... I don't know if I did something wrong. Okay, there we go. Now I can see the question. Kid from Ohio, he says, I talked to you a few times. When can I do that video about going through the steps with out-of-state owners? Yeah, you asked me to make a video, kid from Ohio, about the proper steps or channels to find a out-of-state owner when you're wholesaling a house. Give me a couple days, man. I'll do a video on it. That's some good information I can relay too, and that's actually my favorite type when they vacant and out of state. So give me a couple days and I'll get on it. Best Mr. Farmer says best free ways to market for motivated sellers. Best free way would probably be, as far as free, probably Facebook, man. Or that just was what came out the top of my head. You can go to Facebook and you can join like the garage sales or the real estate groups in your market or your area or wherever you doing business at, and you can market on there, man. What I do is when I order my Bandit signs, they'll send me a image, which is a proof before they start printing, and I just use that proof to advertise online. So you can get something like that, put it on Facebook, and you know, do your thing as far as free. You can always use Craigslist, that's free. To me, you don't really get a lot out of Craigslist when you're doing it, when you advertising for sellers. Marquise says, what was it like when you quit your 9-to-5 job to wholesale? Man, it was a great feeling, man. It's really hard to even describe it to you. The day I officially quit, walked out those doors, man, it was just like, it's almost like a kind of freed my mind, spirit, and my soul a little bit, man. That feeling of independence and, you know, creating your own income, it's a great feeling, man. It was a real surreal feeling. So it felt great, man. It felt real good. What's up, Mr. 267? What's cracking? Do you buy your list from list sources, David? Not really anymore. I don't. Sometimes I might just go on there. You know, I got, you know, $50 to $60 to spend, and I just want to do some lists or whatever. I may go to list source, but as of lately, nah, I kind of avoid list source. I'll buy my list through other list source other than list source for more targeted lists. list source is not as targeted as I would like them to be. But you still can find some deals on list source. You know, I flipped probably 2 or 3 houses from list source, so you know it's definitely gonna be the cheapest route for leads. Mr. Farmer says, what do you look for in probate leads? I have the deceased name, address, but no petitioner. You should have that petitioner, Mr. Farmer, on your list, or whoever that house was given to in probate, because you're gonna need that information in order to get with them. So that's generally gonna be on all those probate lists, at least all the ones that I've dealt with. They'll have the petitioner's information on that, but you definitely need it. Push comes to shove, you may can just send it to the address and hope that mail gets forwarded to the person that now officially owns that house, or the people who now officially own that house. OG Lotto was cracking. OG says, hey Toddy, what are the contingencies you put on your contracts, and where can we get one like yours? As far as my terms and contingencies that I put in my contract, probably 90% of them I put that the buyer's gonna pay for the closing costs. I also typically will put a contingency in there that the seller is gonna be responsible for any mortgages, liens, past due taxes, and garbage fees, things of that nature. So right at the top of my head, those are probably the 2 main contingencies that I'll typically put in all my contracts that that I write in there myself. Kid from Ohio says you should also do a video of a ride along with how you put out your Bandit sign. I may just do that one day. I may just do that. I know it's all get somebody to ride along with me and just get them to record me. I've been really wanting to do videos on when I talk to sellers. When I get on the telephone with motivated sellers calls, I really be wanting to do those, man. But like I say, man, I suck when it comes to YouTube. I gotta figure this stuff out. As far as how to record it, probably the easiest thing for me would probably be to record it from a webcam, but I'm not sure how to get that stuff to sync over to YouTube. I just normally turn my phone on, go to the YouTube app, and just upload. Do you answer your calls live for bandit signs or let them go to voicemail? It all depends. You typically want to answer all of them live if you can, but you can't always answer them live. From my experience, this is not this won't be the case 100% of the time, but from my experience, if they are truly motivated, they will leave you a voicemail. So I would say if you can, try to get all of them live. If you can't, go ahead and call them back as soon as you got an opportunity. But it's probably going to be best to answer your bandit call signs live, because unlike direct mail, your bandit signs calls you get will not be as frequent as your direct mail call. And generally speaking, if they've called you from a bandit sign, they are fully motivated for the most part. Actually, Craigslist service section is no longer free. For those who don't know, it costs $5 to post in the Craigslist service section. Crazy they are charging for these after all these years. What I do is I actually in Mr. 267, I'll go to the real estate part where they don't charge. At least the last time I went in there, they wasn't charging for it, which was probably about a month and a half ago. Have you used Realtor Track? If so, how? Says Mr. Farmer. I haven't used it, Mr. Farmer. I never used Realtor Track before. Maybe something I need to do my homework on. And what's going on, Brian? What's cracking? Finally a live video and I made it. Yeah, this is my first one, Brian, man. I'm getting used to it, man. So you kind of bear with me. Marquise said, did you quit your job before you got your first deal? No, I did not, Marquise. I probably quit my job around my 4th deal, something like that is when I quit my job. Probably around the 4th deal is when I quit. And I quit probably a good year, a full year after I got introduced to wholesaling and got serious about it. Probably took a year before I quit. What does your daily marketing task look like? Returning phone calls, looking at my emails, more returning phone calls, If I'm actually doing some marketing, I may go in there and mess around with my Facebook ads, see what they're doing. I generally try to send out some mail every single day if it ain't nothing but 3 or 4 pieces. So I generally try to send out mail every single day. In fact, I got like 80 or 85 that I need to send out tomorrow, so I probably need to get off live stream right now. But my marketing, Mr. Farmer, sometimes it's pretty redundant sometimes as far as the marketing stuff goes. It says Jessica Allen, hi Todd, I emailed you a couple times, but I haven't received a response. I'm sorry about that, Jessica. I'm not the most prompt person when it comes to email and communication, to be totally honest with you. But feel free to email me. Feel free to email me again. Of course, I got my phone right in front of me, so I'll be able to get right to it. Or if you feel to share it, with everybody else in the live, you can always ask it on the live and I answer it. Marquis says, how much are you making a month from wholesaling at the moment? It really depends, Marquis, man. To be totally honest with you, man, there's some months I go, I don't make a dime. Well, I actually put out more money than I brought in. And then, I have some months, man, where I made like 20,000. So it just really all depends. And a lot of that has to do with how hard I work and how hard I'm out here hustling. But generally, man, just to give you kind of some type of idea, I'm probably going to generally maybe somewhere from 5 to 12. It just all depends. It just really all depends. So I've had some months where I made nothing, and I've had some months where I did 20,000, man. So it just all depends. Mr. 267, do you feel having a mentor is mandatory to succeed? It seems like you and most of the successful people had a mentor to fall back on and talk to. I don't feel it's mandatory. I don't feel it's mandatory at all, man, because you can really do this. I mean, if you ambitious enough, you want to learn, you're willing to learn, you do everything that you need to do, you working harder than everybody else that's your competition. I mean, you can do it without a mentor. I mean, you really can. A mentor is going to really speed up your process. They're going to help you eliminate mistakes that they made along the way. So a mentor can speed up that process. I heard somebody use this one time. I said I'm going to use it because I thought it was good. I mean, if you're not like real experience in the gym, you go in there to lose weight or tone up or whatever your body goals are. I mean, you can go in there and meet all your goals by yourself, but hiring that trainer, somebody who has expertise in that field, that would probably speed up your process. So, I kind of correlate that to having a mentor in wholesale real estate as well. Kid from Ohio, how do you find good areas to put your signs out? I'm really struggling with that. Do you recommend war zone areas? Kid from Ohio, I know you told me that you just starting off and you're saying now that you're struggling with bandit signs. Don't worry about it. That's common, man. That's common. I mean, I've been doing it for years now, and I'm kind of just getting in my groove, a real good groove of bandit signs. Bandit signs are really gonna be trial and error. It's gonna, you're gonna have to kind of put signs out, and you're gonna realize, well, my signs stay up a few months here. Put them over here. Well, my signs only stay out a couple of days here, and you may put them over here. Sign may not stay out but an hour or two. So it's really trial and error. Generally, you of course you want to go with the highly populated areas, intersections, shopping centers, things like that. And yes, I do recommend war zones. I do. I do a pretty good amount of deals in war zones, hood, bad neighborhood, whatever you want to call it. So I definitely do recommend that, kid from Ohio. But as far as the bandit signs, just don't give up on them. You'll notice over time you'll get better with them. You'll realize what works, what doesn't work, color schemes, the height, size of your H stakes, and also the signs themselves. So just stay with it, man. The signs is probably going to be your most effective and expensive way to market. OG Lotto says, what goes into you deciding whether you'll hold the down deposit from a buyer or let the title company hold it. I try to get all my deposits from the buyers myself. I be wanting them to either give me cash or write the check in my name. So I'm typically aiming for that all the time. Give me the money, and we'll do the rest at closing. Not every buyer is gonna do that. You got some buyers that just gonna be adamant, like, no, I'm gonna give it to a closing attorney. We'll open up an escrow. But those type of buyers, that's fine. That's cool. That's totally fine. But I try to get all of them myself if I can, which most times or not I typically do. But like I say, not every buyer will just want to give you $1,000, $2,000, $500, especially if y'all ain't did business together before, and that's totally understandable as well. Mr. Farmer says, how much mail do you send out and to what kind of leads? I generally, and again, it all depends. I generally try to get out a minimum of about 500 pieces a month. I have some months where I may get out 3,000 pieces. But at minimum, I try to get out 5,000 pieces a month. Been doing a good bit of driving for dollars lately, and that's been pretty successful this year. And those are leads that I like, because when you do driving for dollars, you've done the homework yourself. You looked at the house, it's vacant. You decided to meet your criteria as a wholesaler. So I like driving for dollars. So I generally try to get out 20 pieces of mail a day as far as driving for dollars. That's not always possible, because there's only so many houses in this market. But if I'm really humping and I'm trying to really focus on driving for dollars, which I sometimes do, I might just zone in that only for like 2 straight weeks. I try to get out at least 20 per day. Not always possible, but sometimes I do it. Sometimes I don't. Marquis says, do you do ringless voicemail? What do you mean exactly on that, Marquis? Tell me exactly what you mean when you say ringless voicemail, so I know exactly what you're talking about. OG Lotto says, where do you put on the contract that the check is non-refundable? It's actually already in my my contract for my buyers. It's notated in the contract that the down payment is non-refundable. Now, sometimes one of the contingencies I will put in there, if the buyer want to go do some due diligence, sometimes I'll write in a due diligence period with them. But as of lately, man, I've been just advertising to my buyers, do your due diligence before you sign the contract. Because sometimes you'll run into these buyers, man, you'll get them on the contract, you'll give them a 7-day due diligence period. And at the 7th day, they call you, well, I can't do the deal for this, blah, 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 blah. So now I'm pushing everybody to go ahead and do your due diligence before you sign the contract. That way we don't have any holdups, or we're not holding the house up or whatever. Mr. Farmer says, how do you pick your farm areas? Generally places where I know that the market is thumping, or the market is popping, or the market is hot, where I know I can, keep my marketing at as far as like my signs and my mail. So that's typically how I figure out what my farm area needs to be. And I got a few here in my main market that I just steadily work. Sometimes I drive for dollars and kind of like the same area a few times a month just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But once you start doing deals in a certain part or a certain area, and you like it, your buyers like it, and then you'll eventually make that one of your farm areas as well. Or at least that's how it went for me. Brian says, what was your hardest title to get cleared? It was a house that I did last year, 2017. And the specifics of it was a gentleman who owned the house. He bought the house maybe like 15, 16, 17 years ago, something like that. He eventually moved to, where did he move to? He moved to Virginia about 5 or 6 years after he bought the house. And he was renting out. Long story short, the house went vacant. It went bad. It got vandalized. It was a total mess. So what happened is he still had a mortgage on it, and the mortgage company foreclosed on the house because once he moved to Virginia and the house went bad, he was just like, I ain't staying in this house. So he let the mortgage company come and take it. So they foreclosed on the house. And this is the thing, the mortgage company that foreclosed on the house, they got bought out. And this is right around the time where the real estate market dropped, the economy dropped. So they got bought out by a bigger financial company. And the company that bought them out also, of course, bought their book of business. So once they start sorting through the properties that they've acquired through this new acquisition, they didn't want that house. I assume they sent somebody out there, looked at it, I guess maybe looked at the area, and they just like, we changed our mind. We don't want it. So after they foreclosed on it, they gave the house back to the seller. You know, they gave it back to him. You know, they're like, we forgive the mortgage. We don't want the house back. Here, you can have it back. So they gave it back to him. So once I got that property under contract and we got to the closing table, the lawyers had to have some type of release statement releasing him from that obligation of the loan from the original mortgage company. And they got bought out. So we went in circles trying to connect the dots on how to get this release form from the new financial company. And man, this took probably about a good strong 8 to 10 months total from the time I made first contact. And it looked like at times that the deal wasn't gonna happen at all. But we got it done. We got it closed. Kevin says, do you have an LLC? Yes, I do have an LLC, Kevin. I got my LLC a few years ago, probably after I wholesale like my second or third house. Mr. Farm says, where did you get your mentor from? Costs. I got my first mentor I started dealing with. I got him online. We connected online, actually on Facebook. We connected through Facebook. And I guess he noticed that I was real ambitious and I was asking a lot of questions. And then I put up a comment or a stat saying, damn, I said something like, damn, I really need me a mentor. So he emailed me, you know, we talked, we went back and forth. And he was like, you know, I'll mentor you, answer all your questions, and we'll kind of just work together. Because he lived in my state here in Georgia, but he didn't live in the city. But he wanted to do business in this market. So it was pretty much like, I'll mentor you, and at the same time, you know, we can work together. So as we were going through that, you know, he became a mentor, answered all my questions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then once I got my first, once I got my first wholesale deal, the first buyer that bought from me, we kind of like bonded, like, you know, as soon as we met, you know, we started cracking jokes, talking. So he been in the game 20 plus years. So what I started doing, he bought my first house and my second house. So after he bought my second house, I just started asking him a bunch of questions. And I just started being very subtle. And I would tag along with him while he was out, you know, in the streets handling his business. You know what I mean? And then we just eventually, like I said, we bond, we click, and he became my mentor, whether he knew it or not. I'm sure over time he realized, well, you know, I'm his mentor. But at the same time, I was bringing him good deals. I was bringing him constant deals. And at that point in time, I was new to the game. So, you know, he was mentoring me, but at the same time, he was getting good deals. Now that I got, you know, more experience under my belt and skin in my own game, probably some of those houses that I was selling him when I first started, for me to sell those houses now would probably sell them at a higher price because I got a bigger network, I know more people, and you know, I can get off houses a lot better now than I could when I first started a few years back. Marcus Johnson says, when calculating the deal, do you include PITI? You gotta tell me what that PITI means, Marcus. To determine your max offer for flipper. Example, ARV times rehab. Yeah, you gotta tell me what PITI means, Marcus, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Hull says, tips and tricks for when going on appointments, what to say. First off, be presentable, man. Be presentable. You know, don't go there with your pants hanging off your ass. Don't go over there in an oversized shirt. Make sure you clean, you look presentable. I ain't saying go out there in a tie and some penny loafers or anything like that, but just be presentable. You know, make sure you're looking good, and you know, make sure you ain't funky. Make sure you're smelling good. Just be presentable. It's pretty much that's one thing. That's the first thing, and then also when you go out there, just from the jump. When you go out there, you get out of the car. Hey, how you doing? I'm Toddy Jones. Or are you Mrs. Smith? Yes, I'm Mrs. Smith. Well, good to meet you. You know, it's finally good to, you know, put a voice with the face. You know, so go ahead and start building that bond with the customer. Get them to feel comfortable with you. If you got to crack a couple jokes, crack a couple jokes. But just don't go out there and be all business and all numbers. You know, talk to these people. You know, see if you can dig a little deeper with them. Get them to build that confidence and trust into you. So, you know, if you got to do the small talk, go out there and do the small talk. But you just want to go out there and get them to tell you everything that they can about the house. And if you ain't got it yet, figure out, you know, what reason are they trying to sell the house. But more importantly, just go ahead and build that bond with them. Listen to them, because when you get out there, they're going to have a lot. They're going to be saying a lot. So just listen to them and build that bond up with them. You know, ask them questions you need to ask about repairs, or, you know, what's this or what's this, what's this. But more importantly, just go ahead and build that bond with them. Go ahead and build a bond with them. Make them feel like they don't need to talk to any more investors once they're done talking to you. Marquis says, I have 200 Bandit signs getting my deal in the next 45 days. Yes, sir, you are. And as soon as you get it, make sure you let me know. But you're going to do something with them 200 signs, man. That's definitely enough to get 2 or 3, 4 deals. So best of luck to you, Marquis. How many Bandit signs you think it would take to do your first deals? Have you ever used a sign staples to put your Bandit sign up on a telephone pole? And that's from Carl, the tactician. I say, Carl, a good number to start with, man. You should be able to get a deal off 100 signs. You should be able to get a deal off 100 Bandit signs if you know you got them in the right place, in the right location. And I got something now, Carl. I don't think it's called a sign stapler, but it's pretty much what you just described. It's something that I can put the signs a lot higher on the pole than I normally could. But I don't think it's called a sign stapler. It might be, but I do got something like that. That I ordered offline. It cost, man, it was like $160, $70. But it works, man. It does what it says it does. It was a good investment. And Mr. Hull is right. Some people, you know, have got a deal within the first 20 signs, which is correct. And Mr. Hull also say some people 100 signs. It all depends, which is correct. It may take you 150 signs. Mr. 267 says, just starting out, how much should a new person expect to spend on marketing to get the first deal? What should the budget look like? $300 a month, $500,000 a month. Just starting out, Mr. 267, unless you just got a fat bankroll and you can spend $1,000 on marketing, that's probably too much starting off, I would say. I think around that $300 point is where you want to be. $300, probably no more than $500 just starting off. Go ahead and get you some signs. And I'm advising everybody now, especially if you're in a market with Bandit signs or where you got a good amount of them, go ahead and get the signs. A lot of people won't like to get the mail at first, but I tell everybody now, start off with the signs. It's effective. They are very effective. They work. They definitely work. They're very effective, and they're low cost. You know, they're low cost. $300, you can get you probably about 300 signs. You're going to pay a little bit for your shipping, but that's 300 signs. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be out there every single day. When you do direct mail, when you send out your mail, eventually that cycle going to stop. You may get calls for the next 4 days. You may get calls for the next 10 days. You may get them for the next 14 days. But that cycle of direct mail gonna eventually stop, and you gotta buy some more leads and send out more mail. When you got signs all over in your areas, them signs are out there. You know, people gonna come pick them up, county come pick them up, but if you put enough out there, those signs gonna be out there. I still got some signs that have been on poles for over a year, y'all. So signs gonna be out there, and it costs $1. Signs cost about $1 a sign. Okay, I lost my comments. There we go. Gotta catch up, y'all. Marquis says it's Toddy from Cleveland. No, brother. I'm down here in Georgia, man. You don't hear that old country, that southern drawl in my voice? No, I'm in the middle of Georgia, man. I'm about an hour south of Atlanta. Marquis said, how's your cash buyers list? Surprisingly, Marquis, unlike when I first started, I don't keep up with my cash buyers list, really. I really don't. I'd be more concerned with getting deals. Because from my experience, Marquis, when you got good deals, they gonna sell. They gonna sell. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a cash buyers list, but I just don't invest as much energy into building that cash buyers list up like I did when I first started. I try to invest all my energy into getting deals because, as I keep repeating, when you got a good deal, it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. If you got just a smoking deal, all the numbers right, man, you can put that thing, you can put that deal on Craigslist on Monday and have it sold on Wednesday if the deal is good enough. And don't let me mislead you. I mean, you need a cash buyers list, you really do. But for me personally, I just be trying to focus on get good deals because I know if I got a good deal and I got some great numbers, it's gonna sell. It's gonna sell. Tony D says, who pays the title company fees if the seller has title issues and the deal falls through? I can only speak from the closing attorney side because we use closing attorneys here in Georgia. If you start the process of a close with an attorney here, and for whatever reason the deal falls through, which it will, it'll happen. Generally speaking, the law firm or the lawyers, they'll kind of eat it. They'll kind of eat it. And now that's not saying that you can just bring them just some junk up there and they're gonna start on it. In order for them to start, a lot of times, you know, they may want you to have done business with them before or something of that nature. But from my experience, a lot of times when you have them run a title and the deal fall through or something, generally they'll eat it. That's happened to me a couple times. They ain't never sent me an invoice. They ain't never sent like the buyer no invoice. So generally they'll eat it. Not saying they'll always eat it, but generally they'll eat that. Kid from Ohio says, I listened to Toddy and another guy is the Flip Man. Yeah, I listened to Flip Man too. Flip Man gave me some good advice. And Flip Man says that the easy part is if you have a good enough deal and you market it effectively, they'll be begging you to take it off them. Which is correct, Kid from Ohio. You're absolutely correct. Or we should say the Flip Man is absolutely correct. He absolutely correct, man. If you got a good enough deals and your numbers are right, that house gonna sell, man. If you got a good enough deal, your numbers are right, you ain't gonna have a problem finding a buyer. Your problem is gonna be which buyer you're gonna sell it to. And that'll happen sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you'll be in some crazy situations where you only got one house and only one person can buy it. So when you got a smoking deal, that's how it's gonna be. It ain't gonna be can I sell it? It's gonna be who am I gonna sell it to? RC2 Infinity says, how do you meet your buyers? The first buyer that I sold a house to, met him through a Bandit sign. I put out a Bandit sign that I had a 3-1 for sale, and he called me back on it, and we've been doing business ever since then. As far as the rest of the buyers I met them as I started getting deals and advertise them. You know, they'll call me and we'll build up a relationship. probably some of the better buyers you're gonna get are gonna be as you build your network, though. You know, once you start selling house to certain buyers, you'll eventually start meeting other buyers through those buyers, and that little domino effect just keeps going and going and going. And before you know it, you just have a network of buyers. You know, so as you get deals, you're gonna start meeting buyers, and then as people realize that you start to get good deals, and the buyers will start reaching out to you. I can't tell y'all how many people send me messages on LinkedIn or whatever, saying, "Hey, add me to your buyers list," or "You got anything?" You know, so as you start doing deals, the buyers, they're gonna start coming to you. Trust me, because they talk. You know what I'm saying? You're going to sell one house to somebody, and then they're going to tell their investor friend, "Yeah, I just got this good old deal on this house." "Who sold it to you?" "Oh, Tyler sold it to me." And, "Oh, you know, he sell a lot of houses like that." Like, "Yeah, he sell a lot. He do pretty good." "Well, give me his number." You know, it's something like that. Goal is to get the phone ringing. What's a good goal per day? As far as how many people you want to talk to per day, you want to find yourself talking to probably about 3 to 5 people per day. If you're talking to at least 3 to 5 people per day, the numbers will work for you. You know, you'll start getting deals. If you're talking to 3 to 5 sellers a day, and you know you end up starting making them offers on everybody you're talking to, everything will fall in place. Hey Toddy, have you ever wholesaled an MLS property? That's coming from Marcelius Reed. No, I have not. Marcelius, I never wholesaled an MLS property. I've marketed one when I first started. Someone else had it under contract, but I never sold wholesale an MLS property. And message from Saddam says, when you buy your vacant seller leads, do you use a mailing source to send your leads out, or send your own leads out yourself? For vacant seller leads, if I'm buying vacant seller, Saddam, I'm actually gonna outsource those. If I'm buying vacant seller, I'm gonna buy a lot of those. Well, what I consider a lot. I'm gonna buy probably at least 500 to 2,000 of vacant seller leads. So I'm gonna outsource those to somewhere like Click the Mail and send them out some postcards or something. Now, if I'm buying, like, if I'm getting probate leads, if I browse probate leads, or if I go to the county clerk house myself and get probate leads, then I'll do those myself. The leads I mentioned earlier when I said I got about 85 leads that I need to mail out, those are probate leads, so I'll mail those out myself. You know, if I got some leads and it's a short list, I'll mail them out myself. I've even bought inherited leads one time, and it was about 300 of them. I did all of them myself. It took a lot of time, though. It took a lot of time. I probably would think twice about doing it again. But anything 200 leads or under, I'll probably go ahead and do that myself, depending on the type of lead. Principal, Mark says principal, interest, taxes, insurance, mortgage, properties. Marcus, I'm gonna have to scroll up and find your original question to answer that, since you gave me what that PITI means. Just give me a moment on that. Sergio says you're the man, bro. Thanks, Sergio. Sergio says it's hard to find. It's hard here in Dallas to find deals. One of my good friends lives in Dallas. But Dallas is, man, that's a big area, Sergio. Dallas, DeSoto, you know, all that stuff, you know, in that area. So you should be able to get something in Dallas. Whatever marketing you're doing now, you may just want to amp it up a little bit, or maybe choose a different marketing avenue. But Dallas is a pretty big area. What's cracking, Mook? Mook says, what's up, Toddy? What approach do you use when presenting your offer to your seller, knowing you're giving them a fairly low offer versus what they're asking? And that's a lot, on that, Mook, that's a lot of gauging their motivation. When I say what I mean by gauging their motivation, let's say someone called me and I do the numbers and I realize that the most I can offer them for a house is $30,000. And on the telephone, they tell me they want to get at least 80,000 for it, or they looking to get 90,000. If I know the most that I can do is 30, and they telling me off top they want 80 or 90, I'm probably not gonna spend really any time hardly on that lead past that phone call. Because if I'm at 30 and they're in the 90,000 range, typically they're not gonna come down that much where we can make a deal happen. But now if I'm talking to a seller and they telling me something like, I just need to get rid of it. I need to get rid of it. I need to get rid of it. I'm tired of it. If they start giving me them motivated seller clues, or if they say something like, well, just make me an offer, then I'll go into that offer that I'm gonna make them with all the confidence in the world that they're gonna accept my offer. You know, all the confidence in the world they're gonna accept my offer. Like you said, I already know going into it, you know, it's lower, much lower than the current market value. But based on their situation, gauging their motivation, I'm going in it with all the confidence in the world. And if they tell me no, hell no, you crazy, you know, I don't let it go from that. You know, so like, okay, well, Mr. Smith, you know, how much you looking to sell the property for? I mean, how much are you looking to get from it? And then I let him answer. And based on his answer, I'll respond with something else. You know, so that's pretty much how I do it when I'm presenting my offers to my sellers, knowing that I'm gonna probably be offered them much lower than they want to get. But the thing about it, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game, because sometimes I've offered them my very first offer and they said yeah. So I mean, you never know. You know, it's just a lot of it is their situation, how bad they need to get off this house. You know, because a lot of times they're actually giving you a lower deal for time. You know, you coming in with quick cash money, so they give you a discount based on the time. So you'll be surprised, man. You know, you'll get out there and start making offers, and you'll talk to somebody, and the very first offer you give them, they're like, well, yeah, I can do that. John Tate says, how many Bandit signs should I put out a month? Try to put out 100, at least 100 a month. Try to put 100 a month, 25 a week, something like that. You know, if you can afford it, try to do 50 a week. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in Bandit sign mode, I try to do 50 a week, at least. You know, but at least 25. If you can afford to do 50 a week. You'll get some calls off that. Do you make all of your offers over the phone or face-to-face? Both. I make them by phone. I've made some by text. And I've made them face-to-face. So I do them both. I will say this, though. It's generally hard for somebody to tell you no face-to-face. That's just the nature of a person. So take that for what it's worth. I lost y'all comments trying to find them. There we go. E. Hall says, how many letters do you send out a week? I try to send out, like, the letters I do, like driving for dollars or something like that, A. Hall. I try to do like 20 a week, you know, of the letters that I actually physically send out myself. I did a direct mail campaign very recently. You know, I'm still getting calls from that. And I sent out about 1,700 postcards on that. And to be honest with y'all, I'm not getting the response that I thought it would. I'm getting to a good bit of calls, but I thought it would be humping a lot more than it is. So, you know, maybe we'll pick up a little bit with the weekend coming soon. Ernest Dotson says, what is your monthly marketing budget? To be honest, Ernest, I really don't have a set budget. It just depends on how much money I made the last month. That'll determine my budget. If I didn't make no money the month before, then that next month's monthly budget is gonna be kind of skimp. If I had a good month the month before, then I'm gonna spend out more money. So it really just depends on how much I make. I don't really have a set monthly budget. Alex Ramos says, yo, Toddy Jones, what's cracking, Alex? Alex says, bought an absentee list and getting no calls. Should I have been going after other lists? How many? 10 minutes, Alex. Absentee lists are good. you typically want to get an absentee list that is a absentee list when the seller doesn't actually live at the property. There's a technical name for that, but I kind of had a brain fart right there. Tia Joyner says, how do you know when a deal is a deal? Give a brief example, please. From the start, you'll know a deal is a deal when you know the wholesale formula that we use. Once your accepted offer goes within that formula, pretty much when the numbers work, you know you got a deal. And to be honest with you, sometimes your numbers will work and you may not still get the house sold, but knowing you got a deal is going to come with experience. And that's going to come after you've done some deals. You know your market, you know where it's at. You know your market the market where the house is at in situations. So a lot of times you'll know you got a deal just over experience and the price that you got the house contracted for and where the investors are buying houses for. And then a lot of times you'll just know, okay, this is a deal. Or you may just have a certain buyer or buyers that is looking for a certain criteria, maybe a certain part of town, and you found it, and they've been looking for it. Your numbers are right. You'll know you got a deal. But it's really just generally when them numbers are right. You'll know you have a deal, and then then as you become more experienced, you'll know the moment you sign a contract. Well, yeah, I can probably sell this in a day or two, or 2 or 3 days. It won't take me long to sell this. Because sometimes I get them under contract, and I'll be like, oh man, I'm gonna sell this thing quick. It'll be in a good part. It'll be in a hot part of town. I have the prices right, but it just really boils down to that price you get it under contract for. John Tay says, what do you do when the seller doesn't want to give you the keys or let you put a lockbox on the house? At that point, John Tay, you got to have a conversation with them. And a lot of that is going to be depend if someone is living in that house, like if they're still living in there or if it's vacant. If they're still living in there, then, you know, you're going to probably have to be more upfront with them and let them know, you know, hey, I'm an investor here. I'm an investor, and I also have partners, you know, who I buy houses with or who I invest with, and they'll also be coming over here to take a look at the house. We may have a contractor come over here and take a look at a couple things. So that's really why I was asking you, you know, if I can put a lockbox to get an additional key to the property, and just so I can get my people in and out of there, you know. So that may be a conversation that you'll have to have with them. You know, let them know that you'll have your partners coming by and take a look at the house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If the house is vacant, and they're truly motivated, they're typically going to give you access to that house if it's vacant. They're ready to get that thing off their hands. I can't recall a situation. Well, yeah, I can. I had one time a house was vacant. They did not want to give me the keys. And probably a lot of that because the house was in what we consider a good part of town here, and it was in good condition too. And I could kind of understand that the house was worth a whole lot, but the typical houses that you a wholesale if they're vacant, I would probably say 90% of the time they won't fight you and give you access to the house. It's really just how this will come in with time too, but it's really just like a lot of stuff, how you say it. When I'm getting ready to talk to them about lock boxes, it's always after we both sign the contract. And I don't even ask them, can I put a lockbox on the house? I have my bag with me as they just finished signing their information. I'll pull my bag out, say something like, hey, Miss Harris, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my lockbox on the door, and that way my partners, my contractors, they can come by and take a look at it. Not sure if I'll have it inspected, but just in case, I need my guys to come in and out. So what I'm gonna do, this is my lockbox. Here's the code. I'm gonna keep the key in here, and that way my guys can come in as they need to come in, And if you need to come in here, here's the code. And you can just, if you need to come here, here's the code, and you can come here and jerk convenience like that. But I never ask them. I tell them this is what happens next. So when you're in that situation, don't ask them. Just present it to them as this is what happens next. Just trying to catch up, y'all. Marquise is right. That's in all my contracts too, that I have lockbox access. Most of your sellers ain't gonna read that whole contract though. At least they don't read all mine. John Tate says, "What's your thoughts on handwritten Bandit signs?" Go for them. my thoughts on that is try them both. Try handwritten signs and try printed signs. That's what I do. I do them both. I don't really write them with my hands anymore, but when I buy my signs, I'll buy handwritten fonts. Like I got handwritten fonts right now. Sometimes I'll buy printed fonts. But I'm doing handwritten fonts right now. But try them all. As far as your Bandit signs go, try them all. General rule of thumb as far as your color scheme on your Bandit signs, you want to go you want to go white sign, red writing, or white sign, blue writing. Or you can go to the old school traditional colors of yellow and black. And I'm sure y'all have all saw the yellow and black colors. But right now I'm doing white sign, red letter, kind of like the same red as Target uses. But studies have shown red and blue is what catches the eye first. So you may want to stick with those colors. What if you go into a property and there's squatters in there and it seems sketchy that you just walk out? Knock on wood, kid from Ohio, I haven't experienced that yet. As far as me going in the house at the same time the squatters were there. Now, I have seen a house where there have been evidence of people living there, but I have not actually walked up onto them yet. I would just, suggest in a situation like that, man, just be safe. Just be safe and be cautious. At the end of the day, safety comes first. One rule of thumb, anytime you're going into a vacant house, kind of announce yourself before you go in the house. Whether that be knocking real hard so whoever in there can hear you, or when you open the door, just say something, "Hey, I'm coming in, I'm coming in." Just kind of announce yourself. That way that element of surprise is removed. So I typically do that in all houses I go into that are vacant. Yeah, Alex, I agree with Marquise. You should keep mailing that list. If you don't mind, Alex, where did you buy that list from? Those 1,000 leads. Where did you buy them from, if you don't mind me asking? Saddam says, when you make your offer, do you normally make it 30% discount off the ARV value plus your fees? And how do you know to make the offer if you not have seen the property and damage on the property? My formula I use, Saddam, I go, I multiply the ARV times 0.70. Occasionally I do 0.65, but it got to be in a real awful part of time for me to go to 0.65. I go 0.70, then I subtract my repairs, and then I also subtract my assignment fee. And that's typically what I start off with. And how do you know, he also says, how do you know how much to offer a property if you have not seen it? That's where you have to take real good notes. You gotta, when you gonna make your offer, you're not able to see the house. You need to take real good notes. Need to ask a lot of questions about repairs with the seller, and talk to them in detail about the repairs because you're not gonna be able to see it. Now, if you got a real good rapport with them, y'all built that rapport up. Ask them just, hey, just send me if you can. Send me a couple pictures of the inside, if you can. Now, you don't want to ask them that and put them in a situation where it's going to take them 2 weeks. So if it ain't something, they can't just take the pictures real quick and send them back to you, don't worry about it. At that point, you really just got to go off what they say. And then when you make your offer to them, let them know, like, hey, I'll still have to go in there and eventually see it, so I could offer you more or less based on the condition once I see it. Make sure you say more or less. Silas says, "Hey man, what's up? What's up, Silas? I just found your page. How long have you been wholesaling?" I think about 3 years now, Silas. About 3 years since, well, almost 3 years. Almost three, yeah, about 3 years now. It was the spring of 2015, so right about 15, right about 3 years now. Thank you, Saddam. ADH Trader Financials says, "Hi, Toddy. How many letters should you send weekly to get a good response rate?" It depends. If you're doing driving for dollars, try to get out at least 20, 25 a week, or at the minimum 10. You know, even if you're doing driving for dollars, if you can get out 10 a week for driving for dollars, you'll get something over time over that. You know, because that's 50 pieces of mail a week, and that's for driving for dollars. You know, if you bought some leads from somewhere, you probably want to. I'll normally send mine all at the same time. Some people split theirs up, but if you like bought some vacant leads, maybe send out 50 a week at that point. If you can afford it, try to do 100 a week. But typically, if you're doing driving for dollars, you know, you're going around looking at houses, you really want to try to get out 10 a week if you can. Kent says, "I would love to hear you speak on the tax rate that wholesalers pay. I know Uncle Sam has to be getting his cut of the profits. How much is greedy ass taking?" It's yeah, I mean they definitely get their bit. Once you you get your business set up as far as your LLC goes, you do got a lot of things that you can claim as business expenses though, like all your marketing, your Bandit signs, your gas. You got a lot of stuff you can claim. I mean, you know, you can even, you take sellers out to eat, you claim that, stuff like that. They but it generally can't. It kind of seemed like it's about the same as when I was working my job. Seems like they take out the same percentage. And I'm gonna be honest with you, even when I was working a 9 to 5, I didn't know what percentage went to taxes. But it feels like about that same percentage now. It doesn't feel too much different. Like I said, if you're one of these people that just gonna claim everything on your taxes that you can, that can help you out as well. But I'm not in one of these big boy tax brackets, so you know they don't hit me over the head too hard. How do I wholesale Oreos and foreclosures? Jay, I've never wholesaled a REO or foreclosure. I don't really market toward those. Some people love them, and that's all that some people market to. But I don't market to them. Maybe it's something that I'll be more open to do throughout this year or maybe sometime soon. But I've never done one of those deals as of yet, Jay. It says, "Kid, are you still in high school?" Mr. Hull. I guess he was talking to somebody else, but no, I'm definitely not in high school. I wish I still was. Tiffany Clara says, "What do you do if you find a motivated seller but they owe more than the house is worth?" Nothing you can do on those, Tiffany. What you do in that situation, when they upside down on the house and the numbers won't work for wholesale, what you want to do is you want to refer those to your realtor. Get you a realtor where y'all can actually shoot leads back and forth to each other. So houses that don't work for you wholesaling, Tiffany, you can shoot those to the realtor, and because that's realtors work with situations like that. And then your realtor properties that she come across that maybe won't work on the MLS for whatever reason, she can send those to you. So just shoot those to your realtor. When the numbers just won't work at all for wholesalers, just shoot them to your realtor. They'll appreciate that greatly. Silas says, "What happens if you have a sale rated but the buyer pulls out of the deal?" At that point, Silas, you got to hurry up and find another buyer, and that's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen. I had a deal like that in February. We were actually gonna close, dog. We were gonna close on a Friday. Buyer called me like on Wednesday morning and said they got to pull out. They can't do the deal. And we were scheduled to close on Friday. Luckily for me, I was able to find a buyer for 1 day on that house, and they was able to step in and close on that Friday. That was, excuse me, that was one of the deals when I closed 3 deals in 1 day. If y'all saw that video, those were one of the deals. Buyer pulled out on me on Wednesday, and I got lucky. I simply got lucky, and I was able to get a buyer in, and that buyer stepped in and closed on Friday. So anytime your buyer pulls out, you just gotta go find another buyer, and that's gonna happen. I wish it didn't happen, but it's part of the game. Your seller's gonna pull out on you too. Buyer's gonna pull out, seller's gonna pull out. The return says, do you need paperwork working with a realtor? No, not really. I mean, if y'all work out some kind of percentage or a commission or something like that, you know, you may decide to put it on paper. But all the realtors I work with, I mean, we've never had nothing on paper. It's just more of a, you scratch my back when you can, I scratch your back when you can. Which one do you do more bandit signs or yellow letters? It's hard to say. Lately I've probably been doing signs more lately. And that's because the weather is more accommodating now. I can put them out a lot easier. But sometimes I go in the zone where I'm just focused on mail and I don't mess with my signs, you know. I guess it kind of just really depends on what kind of marketing zone I am. Sometimes I do them both simultaneously. Sometimes I just focus on mail. Sometimes I just focus on bandit signs. But as of right now, just to answer your question, I've been focused a lot more on bandit signs than I have sending out direct mail as of lately. Should I take my contract to the attorney? If you if you want to actually take it to them and email it to them and let them look over it and let them tell you what they think about it, yes, by all means, definitely do that. Do sellers ask for proof of funds often? Nah, nope, not at all, man. Not the ones we dealing with. They just want you to be there at the closing table with that cash for them. They ain't asking. Typically, when your sellers ask for proof of funds, those are typically gonna be non-wholesale deals. You know, from my experience at least. Do you have any employees, aka virtual assistants? Yeah, got a virtual assistant that help out with phones and like just little tedious tasks that I don't really like to do. Crypto Miami say, what's the best tip for a new wholesaler with EMD? Can you specify that for me, Miami? Like, what do you mean exactly when you ask that question about EMD? The return says, how do you close? I'm in Georgia. We close with closing attorneys. Typically, what I'll do is I'll get my buyer's contract, I'll get my seller's contract, and I'll just forward it to the attorney, and they take over from there. Sometimes I'll take it down there, you know, or sometimes I'll email it to them. But that's pretty much it. I just get on both sides of the contract. If there's something involved in the deal, I may tell her, like, hey, Erica, this was going on here, this was going on here. Or, hey, Erica, buyer wants to close as soon as possible. Hey, Erica, buyer wants to close on this date. It's really just taking that paperwork to them, and they take over from there. Earnest money deposit. Miami, what do you mean exactly on that question? Like, what to do with it or how to acquire it? Shantae says, how many yellow letters should I send out a month? If you like buying the leads, you know, you're spending like 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents a lead. In a situation like that where you've actually bought the leads, if you can, try to send out at least per month. Try to get out at least 500 per month if you bought some. Like maybe, you know, if you bought like 1,000 leads, maybe send out 500 the first month and 500 the second month. But try to get out at least 500 if it's affordable for you. You know, of course, you know, you probably not gonna be able to send out that many driving for dollar leads per month. But if you bought some leads like vacant sellers, try to get out at least 500 if you can. The return says it's so simple. I'm confusing myself. I'm 23 trying to do this. It's a lot to take in initially, and it's confusing. It's still confusing for me sometimes. But once you actually like get the hang of it, you feel comfortable with what you're doing. Everything kind of falls in place. What websites do I use? What websites do I keep on my? Let's see what I got up now. I got the tax assessor sites for like 2 different counties that I always work in. I got Realtor.com pulled up. I got Zillow pulled up. I got YouTube pulled up, of course. I use iComps a lot. I love iComps. I use FindCompsNow.com a good bit. That's traditionally it. Jeffrey says, Jeffrey Michael says, should I always have the property under contract before I present it to my buyer? If not, how do I know my buyer won't go behind my back and just upright buy the property? When you first started, Jeffrey, yes, man. Always have it under contract before you present it to your buyers. When you first starting off, you definitely want to always do that. Just to better protect yourself so nobody can try to, go behind your back. And now as you start like doing more deals and you start building up your network and you start becoming more familiar with your buyers, then you may start pre-marketing certain properties before you get them under contract. But that's when you got to use your gut feeling and know for yourself that you can trust this buyer, or they ain't gonna try to go behind your back and then like that. And that'll come over time too. And you're gonna have people who are gonna try to go behind your back and bite you in the ass. That's gonna happen. That's definitely gonna happen. But just starting out, just to give you a direct answer to your question, yes, always put them on the contract. You don't want nobody to go out there and try to take your deals from you. Hey Movi, how are you doing? How do you appraise a property? I really can't say how you appraise a property, John. Tell you, I don't actually physically do any appraisals. What I do is I'll actually research it and come up with an ARV, which is the after repair value. So that's pretty much what I do. As far as the appraisal, typically, as far as an appraisal goes, the seller will typically have their own appraisals done, which they paid for. But I've never been involved in a situation where we had to do an appraisal before we did a deal. Explain asset protection. Be more specific on that with me, the return. It may be something that I'm not familiar with myself. All right, y'all. So I answered a few more questions and I'm gonna check out, y'all. I didn't expect to be on here this long. I've been on here like 1 hour and 10 minutes already. So I answered a couple more questions and I'll kind of check out. And I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Kent Eastwood, I like that name, Kent. What's the name of that free skip trace you name dropped a few videos ago? I think it started with a Q. Oh, Quanky. Quanky.com, which is QUANKI. Quanky.com. QUANKI.com. Jeffrey Michael says, thank you, sir. I only have the inspection contingency period to find a buyer. You have, as far as whatever terms you write into your contract with your buyer, is how long you have to actually find that buyer. And what I mean, let's say you put you I'm sorry, with your seller. Let's say you put a house on the contract and you put it on the contract for 60 days. So technically you got 60 days to get that house sold. Sooner the better, of course. There will be some times where you may have to go back to your seller and, you know, ask for an extension on the contract. That's happened to me a few times. The seller gonna say yes or they gonna say no. I've had some that say yeah, okay, cool, and I had some say nah, nah. But yeah, that's how much time you have to find your buyer. However, whatever date you put on that contract, is the amount of time you have for that buyer. Jonte says, I sent out 300 letters, and every time I give them a low offer, they don't accept. Am I doing something wrong? No, you're not doing anything wrong. Because typically 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 people typically going to tell you no. You know, this is a business where a 10% accept rate is kind of successful. You know, again, 1 out of 10 people say yes, it's kind of successful in this business. So, no, there's nothing wrong. You just got to keep fishing. Don't stop fishing. You know, don't keep your line out there. If you got to, put some more bait on the line. But keep fishing. You got to keep fishing. You keep your line out there and you keep fishing long enough, eventually that big mouth bass going to jump on your line and you're going to eat good that night. So keep fishing. Don't stop mailing your letters. Keep fishing. Shelly says, how much percentage do you charge for your assignment fee? I don't even do it on a percentage, Shelly. I just try to do it where the buyer can get a good deal. I can get, you know, a good deal. I have had some situations where I've been able to get like a pretty decent spread. And then, you know, sometimes there's a situation where I might have a house on the contract for $6,000 and people are only offering me $7,500 or $8,000 to buy from me. So at that point in time, you know, I just have to take that $1,000 or $2,000 and be happy with it and rock with it. But I don't really have a percentage. It's for me, a lot of deals are different as far as like the assignment fee or how much you're gonna get paid off the deal. Anthony Henry says, hey, I'm Anthony out of Compton, California, straight out of Compton. I'm gonna be in California, Anthony, May 2nd through May 6th. I'll be down there doing Cinco de Mayo. So I'm coming out to LA, man. But yeah, Anthony says, I follow you and a few other real deal wholesalers. I see you're in Atlanta and maybe I could be your legs on the ground out here and vice versa. Yeah, I don't really know a lot about the California market. I gotta kind of educate myself on the California market. And what you're speaking about is called virtual wholesaling, Anthony. I hadn't stepped into virtual wholesaling yet, but I really need to, because I know a lot of people who do it and they're very successful with it. So I really need to be more active and educate myself a little bit more on virtual wholesaling, you know, so I can start doing it as well. But definitely when I start doing it, man, I'm definitely gonna take you up on that offer, Anthony. In fact, just if you can, just email me or just message me your email address, and you know that way, once I get there, you know I have a way to get in contact with you. So you can send me a message on YouTube, or you can just email me. My email is tidypropertiesllc@gmail.com. TIDY properties with a S LLC@gmail.com. Can you ask me that again, Shelly? I didn't understand the question. You're welcome, Jeffrey. You're welcome, Jante. The return says Philly Judicial. Are you talking to me, the return? Thank you, Movi. 5 more minutes, y'all. If y'all got any questions, I'll hang around for 5 more minutes. Gotta get out. I gotta sign off soon and go find something to eat, though, man. If y'all can't tell, I like to eat. You're welcome, Shelly. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up, y'all. This has been real fun. For everybody that may have not been on the stream when I first started, this is my first live stream, y'all. It took me like 5 minutes to figure out how to get on my phone and go live. I had to set all kind of permissions so YouTube could access my pictures and everything. But yeah, my first live stream, man, I had a lot of fun. I didn't realize I was on here this long. I didn't expect to be on here in the morning about like 20 minutes and answered a few questions. But I thank y'all for rocking with me, man, and coming on and making this a real enjoyable experience for me. Who knows? I may just start doing all my videos live stream. And one thing I like about it is, you know, y'all can ask me a bunch of questions at one time and I can answer them, you know, right back at you, you know. So I really enjoyed myself. I'm going to check out. As always, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Tidy_Jones. That's T as in Tom, IDY_Jones. Follow me on Instagram. Again, my email, if you got any questions, you know, you got a question about mentorship, you can always email me, tidypropertiesllc@gmail.com. And yeah, I liked it, Mo. Live interaction, it was real cool. I really enjoyed this. Alvarero says, would you be open to doing marketing for me in DC and we pay you for the leads? What you'll have to do, Alvarero, is email me, tidypropertiesllc@gmail.com, and give me more information so I know exactly what you mean about that. Kent Eastwood says, bro, your couch got a mean hat game. Yeah, man, you know, I have to keep me some kind of hat back there. That kind of became my little niche, man. And that happened by a fluke. The first video I did, I had a hat on my sofa. And that just happened coincidentally. And since then, I just kept doing it. Kind of like sitting on the floor, I guess. You very welcome, Shelly. But I'm going to check out, man. I'm going to check out. I'm going to do another live video real soon, man. If it ain't this week, I'll probably do another one next week because I really enjoyed this. But y'all be good. I'm out of here. Peace. Let's see if I can figure out how to turn this off. That's going to be the other thing. You too, Moby. Have a good night. I guess I hit this X. How do y'all, somebody tell me how do you stop the live going live? It says, are you sure you want to stop streaming? So I guess I hit OK there. Okay. Peace, y'all.